Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! As the screen lit up with an unsettling notification, Connor felt a knot in his stomach tighten. The relentless stream of alerts invaded his peace, reminding him of the growing online frenzy. The viral video, an insidious creation, had seeped into Westridge High's ecosystem, ensnaring students and parents alike. Connor, guided by instinct, silenced his phone, its screen now blank and uninviting. He faced the challenge of grading chemistry exams, but his hands, refusing to obey, betrayed his effort. They trembled in protest, thwarting his attempts to maintain order. Little did Connor know this digital manipulation, an act of malicious intent, had put him on a path of growing suspicion and scrutiny within the school. The perpetrator, skilled yet anonymous, had seamlessly merged his face with digital femininity, crafting a narrative that defied its own manipulation. Students whispered behind their hands as he passed. A boy in a Letterman jacket made an obscene gesture when he thought Connor wasn't looking.
"Please close the door,"
Principal Hargrove said once they reached her office. Connor sat across from her desk, hands folded in his lap to hide their trembling. "I've spoken with the school board," she began, removing her glasses. "We've decided it would be best if you took a leave of absence until this situation resolves itself." "But I didn't do anything wrong," Connor said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm the victim here. I understand that, but we have to consider the learning environment. Parents are calling. Students are distracted. So, I'm being punished because someone targeted me?" Principal Hargrove sighed. "We're offering you a transfer to Pinewood District for next semester. It's 40 miles away, far enough that this incident hopefully won't follow you." Connor stared at his hands. 5 years of teaching excellence at Westridge, building the science program from mediocre to award-winning, developing relationships with students who'd gone on to pursue STEM careers, all wiped away because of a vicious lie. "I'll need time to think about it," he said finally. "Of course, take the rest of the week. Paid leave." That evening, Connor sat in Dr. Michaels' office, his therapist of 3 years, watching him with concern as he recounted the meeting. "What are you thinking about the transfer?" Dr. Michaels asked. Connor ran a hand through his short blonde hair. "What choice do I have? I can't go back there. Not with everyone looking at me like I'm some kind of pervert." "This is deeply unfair to you," Dr. Michaels acknowledged. "But perhaps there's an opportunity here." "An opportunity? To start over, you mean?" "Yes, but perhaps in a more significant way." Dr. Michaels leaned forward. "Connor, we've discussed your gender dysphoria extensively over the past year. You've expressed that you've known since childhood that you identify as female, but fear of judgment has kept you from exploring that identity." Connor's chest tightened. "You're suggesting I'm suggesting that a fresh start could include presenting as your authentic self, as Adeline." The name hung in the air between them, the name Connor had chosen years ago, but shared with no one except Dr. Michaels. "They'd just find out eventually," Connor said. "Someone would recognize me." "Perhaps, but people often see what they expect to see. A female teacher named Adeline Williams would likely not register as the same person as Connor Williams, especially with some changes to your appearance." Connor closed his eyes, imagining it, teaching as Adeline, living as Adeline. The thought sent equal parts terror and longing through him. "I don't even know how to begin," he said softly.
"One step at a time,"
Dr. Michaels replied.
"And I'll be here to help you through each one."
The Pinewood District Superintendent didn't bat an eye when Connor, using his legal name for the paperwork, requested that he be addressed as Adeline Williams professionally. The district had a reputation for progressive policies, which was part of why Dr. Michaels had suggested it. "We'll need to update your personnel file and identification badge, but that's no problem," Superintendent Torres said. "We're happy to have you join us at Pinewood High, Ms. Williams." The words sent a shiver of recognition through Connor. Ms. Williams, Adeline Williams, his true self, finally acknowledged. The weeks before the new semester were a whirlwind of preparation. Dr. Michaels connected Connor with resources, voice coaches, makeup artists who specialized in working with transgender women, clothing consultants. He grew out his blonde hair as much as possible in the short time frame and purchased a high-quality wig in the same shade for additional length and volume. Standing before the mirror the night before her first day at Pinewood High, Adeline barely recognized herself, and yet, paradoxically, felt she was seeing her real self for the first time. Her blonde hair fell in soft waves to her shoulders, framing a face subtly transformed by careful makeup application. She wore a burgundy turtleneck sweater with gray tailored pants and low heels, professional, modest, but unmistakably feminine. "Hello," she whispered to her reflection, her voice practiced to a higher register. "I'm Adeline Williams. I'll be your chemistry teacher this semester." Her first day passed in a blur of nerves and hyper-awareness. Every interaction felt like a test she might fail. Would someone see through her? Would students laugh? Would colleagues question her background? But none of that happened. Students filed into her classroom, took their assigned seats, and listened attentively as she outlined the semester curriculum. Fellow teachers welcomed her warmly in the staff lounge, offering tips about the school's culture and inviting her to join them for Friday happy hours. "That sweater is gorgeous," commented Rebecca Patel, the English teacher whose classroom was across the hall. "Where did you find it?" "Nordstrom," Adeline replied, surprised at how easily the conversation flowed. "They were having a sale." "You have excellent taste. The color suits you perfectly." By the end of the first week, Adeline's fear had begun to fade, replaced by a growing sense of rightness. For the first time in her life, she moved through the world as her authentic self. No one questioned her identity because, from their perspective, there was nothing to question. She was simply Ms. Williams, the new chemistry teacher with the elegant wardrobe and engaging teaching style. "How are you feeling?" Dr. Michaels asked during their weekly session. "Like I'm finally breathing properly," Adeline said. "I didn't realize how much energy I was spending hiding until I stopped doing it." "Have there been any challenges?" "Practical ones. Using public restrooms still makes me anxious, and I'm constantly worried about my voice slipping." "Those concerns are common and usually fade with time and practice," Dr. Michaels assured her. "What about your teaching? Has that changed?" Adeline considered this. "I'm more present, more engaged. I used to feel like I was playing a role while teaching. Now I'm just focused on the students and the material." As weeks turned into months, Adeline's confidence grew. She expanded her wardrobe to include dresses in deep autumn colors: forest green, burnt orange, rich burgundy. She learned to style her growing blonde hair, gradually relying less on the wig. She made friends among the faculty, joined a book club, and even went on a few dates with a kind history professor from the community college, though she wasn't yet ready to disclose her transgender status to potential romantic partners. Her students respected her, some even declaring chemistry their favorite subject, despite its challenging material. The rigid person she'd been as Connor, always maintaining distance, afraid of revealing too much, had melted away, replaced by someone who could connect authentically with others. Then came the day she'd feared might eventually arrive. "Ms. Williams?" a voice called as she was packing up her materials after the final bell. Adeline looked up to see a girl standing in her doorway, tall, with curly hair and intelligent eyes that seemed vaguely familiar. "Yes? Do you need something?" The girl stepped into the classroom, closing the door behind her. "You don't recognize me, do you? I'm Emma Diaz. I was in your AP chemistry class at Westridge 2 years ago." The room seemed to tilt. Adeline gripped the edge of her desk. "Emma, of course. You did that excellent project on polymers. I got a scholarship to MIT because of your recommendation letter," Emma said, studying Adeline's face. "When my mom got a job in this district, I transferred here for my senior year. I saw your name on the faculty list, but I thought it might be a coincidence." "Emma." "Then I saw you in the hallway yesterday, and I knew." Adeline's heart pounded. This was it. The moment everything would unravel. The whispers would start again. The judgment. The loss of the life she'd built. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice barely audible. Emma's expression softened. "Nothing. I just wanted to say thank you. Your class changed my life, and—" she hesitated. "I think I understand why you left Westridge. That video was cruel. Nobody deserved that, especially not you." Adeline stared at her former student, confusion replacing fear. "You're not going to tell anyone?"
Why would I?
Emma shrugged. "It's your business. But for what it's worth, you seem happier now. More yourself." Tears pricked at Adeline's eyes. She turned away, pretending to organize papers. "Thank you, Emma." "Actually, there is one thing," Emma said. "My friend Tyler. He's transgender too. FTM. He's having a rough time. The school has an after-school group for students like him, but they need a faculty advisor since Ms. Jensen left on maternity leave. I thought maybe—"
You want me to be the advisor? Only if you're comfortable with it, Emma said quickly.
"I just thought—"
You might understand better than most teachers.
Adeline sat down, mind racing. Being visible as a transgender teacher would mean vulnerability. It would mean potential scrutiny, but it would also mean living with complete authenticity and perhaps helping students who needed someone to look up to. "When does the group meet?" she asked, finally. The Rainbow Alliance met on Thursday afternoons in room 204. The first time Adeline attended as faculty advisor, 5 students were present, including Emma and her friend Tyler, who sat hunched in his chair, eyes downcast. "Everyone, this is Ms. Williams," Emma introduced. "She's our new faculty advisor." Adeline smiled at the small group. "Thank you for having me. I'm here to support however I can." The meeting proceeded with discussions about an upcoming project to create resources for the school library. As it concluded, Tyler lingered behind.
"Ms. Williams,"
he said quietly,
"Emma told me that you're like me. Just, the other direction."
Adeline nodded. "That's right."
"How did you know? That you were really a woman?"
The question was so direct, so honest, that Adeline found herself answering with equal honesty. "I always knew something was different. From childhood. But I didn't have the words for it until much later, and even then, I was afraid to acknowledge it, even to myself." Tyler nodded. "Yeah, that's how it was for me too. When did you transition? Recently, Adeline admitted. This is my first year living authentically. Tyler's eyes widened. Really? But you seem so together, so confident. Adeline laughed softly. I'm terrified half the time, but living as someone you're not, that's much harder in the long run. Over the following weeks, word spread quietly among students that Ms. Williams was transgender. Rather than the mockery and harassment she'd feared, Adeline found herself receiving small gestures of support, notes of thanks left on her desk, a transgender flag pin anonymously placed in her mailbox, students who'd previously been quiet in class beginning to participate more. The Rainbow Alliance grew from 5 members to 15, then 25. Principal Morris called Adeline to his office, and for a heart-stopping moment, she feared repercussions.
Ms. Williams,
he said, gesturing for her to sit. I wanted to thank you for your work with the Rainbow Alliance. We've seen a marked improvement in attendance and academic performance among several of the students in that group. They're remarkable young people, Adeline said. I'm just providing the space.
You're providing much more than that,
Principal Morris countered.
You're showing them possibility. That matters.
At the faculty holiday party in December, Rebecca Patel raised a toast to our newest colleague, who's already made Pinewood a better place. Adeline blushed as teachers clinked glasses, several offering personal words of appreciation. Later, as she helped clean up, chemistry department head Dr. Franklin approached her.
Williams, I admit I was skeptical when Morris hired you,
he said gruffly.
Your credentials were impeccable, but you seemed too polished. I thought you might be style over substance.
Adeline raised an eyebrow, waiting.
I was wrong, he continued. Your students' midterm scores were the highest I've seen in years. Whatever you're doing, keep it up.
That night, Adeline called her parents, the first contact since her transition. The conversation was difficult, filled with confusion and hurt on both sides. They couldn't understand why their son had disappeared, as her father put it. But they agreed to meet for coffee after the new year, to see her, to try to understand. It was progress. Small, painful progress, but progress nonetheless. As winter turned to spring, Adeline's life settled into a rhythm that felt natural and right. Her blonde hair now reached past her shoulders without need for extensions. Her voice no longer slipped into lower registers, even when she was tired, and the constant fear of being discovered had faded to an occasional twinge rather than a constant companion. Then came the email from Superintendent Torres. Ms. Williams, please see me regarding an urgent matter tomorrow morning before classes. Adeline's old fears surged back. Had someone from Westridge contacted them? Had a parent complained? Was her position in jeopardy? She spent a sleepless night imagining worst-case scenarios, arriving at Torres's office the next morning with dark circles under her eyes barely concealed by makeup.
Thank you for coming,
Torres said, indicating a chair.
I've received some concerning information I need to discuss with you.
Of course, Adeline said, working to keep her voice steady. Torres slid a printout across the desk. It was an article from the local newspaper in Westridge, detailing the mysterious disappearance of popular science teacher Connor Williams following a scandalous video. The article speculated about his whereabouts and mentioned the district's refusal to comment beyond confirming his resignation. I understand this is you, Torres said, her expression unreadable. Adeline closed her eyes briefly. Yes. You didn't disclose this situation when you were hired. No, I was ashamed and afraid. Torres studied her for a long moment.
The video mentioned in this article, it was fabricated, correct? You were the victim of technological manipulation.
Yes, someone created a deep fake with my face. I never found out who. Torres nodded.
I suspected as much. This incident has no bearing on your employment here, Ms. Williams. Your work has been exemplary.
Relief flooded through Adeline. Thank you.
However,
Torres continued,
I've been contacted by a journalist who's connecting the dots between Connor Williams' disappearance and Adeline Williams' appearance in our district. They're preparing a story.
The relief evaporated. What kind of story?
That depends partly on you,
Torres said.
They've requested an interview. I told them I would pass along the request, but that the decision was entirely yours.
Adeline's mind raced. An article would mean exposure. Her transgender status revealed not just to her current community, but potentially to anyone who searched her name online. Forever. What would you do? She asked Torres. The superintendent considered this.
I can't tell you what's right for your situation, but I will say that secrets have power only in darkness. And whatever you decide, the district stands behind you.
That evening, Adeline met with the Rainbow Alliance students for an emergency session. A reporter wants to write an article about me, she explained, about my transition and the circumstances that led to it.
Are they trying to out you?
Tyler asked, indignant.
That's messed up.
They know already, Adeline said. The question is whether I participate in the story or let them write it without my input. Emma frowned. If you don't talk to them, they'll make up whatever they want. But if you do, another student added, you can control the narrative. Adeline looked around the circle of young faces. Some transgender, some gay, some questioning, all vulnerable in their own ways. What would it mean to you if your teacher was publicly transgender? The room fell silent for a moment. Then Tyler spoke.
Everything,
he said simply.
It would mean everything.
The interview took place in Adeline's classroom after school. The journalist, Catherine Reyes, was professional and respectful, taking notes as Adeline recounted the deepfake incident, her decision to transfer districts, and her journey to living authentically. Was it the video that prompted your transition? Catherine asked. Adeline shook her head. I've known I was female since childhood, but fear kept me from acknowledging it publicly. The deepfake, as horrible as it was, became a catalyst. It forced me to rebuild my life, and in doing so, I found the courage to rebuild it truthfully. And how has the Pinewood community responded? With more kindness than I ever expected, Adeline said. My students see me as a teacher who happens to be transgender, not a transgender person who happens to teach. My colleagues have been supportive. The administration has been unwavering in their professionalism. What would you say to other educators who might be in similar situations? Afraid to come out, afraid of the consequences. Adeline considered this carefully. I'd say that living authentically is worth the risk, that students deserve to see their teachers as whole people, and that fear is a poor compass for making life decisions. The article appeared a week later, thoughtfully written and prominently featuring Adeline's work with the Rainbow Alliance alongside her personal journey. The headline read, From Targeted Harassment to Transformation, How One Teacher Found Purpose Through Adversity. The day it was published, Adeline arrived at school to find her classroom door decorated with paper hearts and notes of support. Inside, a vase of flowers sat on her desk with a card signed by the entire faculty. During her prep period, Principal Morris stopped by. Just checking in. How are you holding up? Better than I expected, Adeline admitted. No negative reactions so far. There have been a few parent calls, Morris said. Mostly supportive, a couple with concerns. Nothing we can't handle. Thank you for having my back. Morris nodded. Always. Good teachers are hard to find, especially ones who inspire students the way you do. That afternoon, as Adeline was erasing chemical equations from the whiteboard, a woman appeared in her doorway, familiar yet transformed by the passage of time. Connor? I'm sorry, Adeline? Adeline froze, marker in hand. Patricia? Patricia Hargrove, her former principal from Westridge, stepped into the classroom. I read the article. I had to come see for myself. Adeline set down the marker, heart pounding. How did you find me? The article mentioned Pinewood. I took a chance. Patricia looked around the classroom, noting the student projects displayed on the walls, the orderly lab stations. You've built something good here. Yes, Adeline agreed cautiously. I have. Patricia's eyes returned to Adeline's face. I owe you an apology. When that video surfaced, I took the easy way out. I should have stood by you, fought for you. It was a complicated situation. It was cowardice, Patricia corrected herself. On my part, and I've regretted it ever since. She hesitated. The student who created the deepfake was caught, by the way, 3 months after you left. He'd done it to several teachers. Who was it? Does it matter now? Adeline considered this. No, I suppose it doesn't. They talked a while longer, awkwardly at first, then with growing ease. Patricia shared updates about former colleagues, and Adeline spoke about her new life at Pinewood. As Patricia prepared to leave, she paused at the door. You know, I always thought you were an excellent teacher, she said. But there was something reserved about you, something held back. I see now what it was. She smiled softly. You wear yourself well, Adeline Williams. The end of the school year brought evaluations, final exams, and a profound sense of accomplishment. Adeline's students had excelled academically, with AP exam scores well above the national average. The Rainbow Alliance had grown into one of the school's most active student organizations, and Adeline herself had been nominated for Teacher of the Year, an honor that both humbled and validated her. On the last day of classes, Tyler stopped by after the final bell. I got accepted to UW, he announced, grinning. Pre-med track. That's wonderful, Adeline exclaimed. They'll be lucky to have you. It's because of you, Tyler said. Seeing you live your truth every day, it made me believe I could do anything. You did the work, Adeline reminded him. I just provided an example. An example matters. Tyler handed her a small gift bag. It's just something to say thank you. Inside was a delicate silver necklace with a pendant shaped like a chemical structure. It's serotonin, Tyler explained. The happiness molecule. Because that's what you've brought to this place, to all of us. Tears filled Adeline's eyes as she fastened the necklace around her neck. I'll treasure it. That evening, as she packed up her classroom for summer break, Adeline found herself reflecting on the journey of the past year, from the devastation of the deepfake scandal to the fear of starting over, from the tentative first steps as Adeline to the confident woman she'd become. It had been a transformation more profound than she could have imagined. Her phone buzzed with a text from her father. Dinner still on for Sunday? Your mother found that lemon cake recipe you liked as a kid." It was a small gesture, but significant. An acknowledgement of continuity, that she was still the same person they'd always loved, just more authentically herself. Adeline typed back, "Wouldn't miss it. Tell Mom I'm bringing that wine she likes." As she finished packing, a knock came at her classroom door. Rebecca Patel stood there, car keys in hand. "End-of-year drinks at Harley's," she said. "The whole faculty's going. You in?" Adeline looked around her classroom one last time, the space where she'd found her voice, her confidence, herself. Then she smiled at her colleague. "Absolutely," she said, picking up her purse. "Lead the way." They walked together down the empty hallway, their conversation echoing against the lockers. Two teachers, discussing summer plans, next year's curriculum, the ordinary details of lives well lived. For Adeline Williams, formerly Connor, it was precisely this ordinariness that felt most extraordinary, the simple gift of being herself, without apology or explanation, embraced for exactly who she was.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!